Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Right now, we have two special guests. Let's first introduce myself. I'm Abigail Beckstead. I am she, her pronouns. And I have two special guests that are from my social work classes. If you guys could introduce yourself and your pronouns.
I'm Rowan Homer. I primarily use they, them. I'm fine with he, him, but like I said, preference is they, them.
And I'm Hannah Mayer, and I use she, her.
Perfect. And then we're just going to talk a little bit about our background as well. So my background is in social work as my major, and then I have two minors in psychology and mental health awareness and advocacy. So that's one of the biggest things of why I'm doing this. And then if you guys could talk about your background as well.
So I started off school with a psychology major, but I've now transitioned that into a minor, and I'm doing social work as my major. And then I'm also working on an anthropology minor.
That's really cool. I am similar to everyone else. I have a social work major. I'm doing a human development and psychology minor instead of the others. So, yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
I feel like we're pretty qualified for this topic, which goes into what our topic is going to be over gender-based violence and the LGBTQ plus perspectives. I myself identify as being bisexual. Do you guys want to talk about what you...
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm gay and agender. If people don't know what that is, it's a subcategory of non-binary where you just don't identify with any specific gender.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm straight and asexual. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love it. All right. So how did we feel about... I gave them a little bit of a Word document that has all sorts of stuff that talks about the October mourning, which is pretty heavy, I would feel. Could be triggering to some if they've also experienced some violence in some way. But how did you guys feel about it?
So this is a story that I have heard before, not specifically from this book and these poems, but I think this is the third or fourth time that I've been exposed to this story. So it's upsetting, but it wasn't like a shock to my system because I already know what to expect.
I have not heard of this before coming here, and I was kind of shocked because I feel like I read about these cases all the time. But yeah, I don't know. It was really shocking to me. It made me really sad, honestly. I was just like, made my heart heavy, you know?
What about it made it so shocking?
I think what made it shocking was how unshocking it was that it happened, if that makes sense. Like, I was reading it, and I was like, you know, it's sad that I can see this happening in the world and that I can see it being a problem and that it is a problem. And that's what was really shocking to me, if that makes sense. And that's what really made it, well, not what really made it heavy, but it really just, like, brought me to the earth. And I was like, wow,
It
that's
solidified
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Have you guys ever experienced any bullying of some sort or witnessed it yourself? Or were you a bully?
Not directly. Growing up, I had a lot of shame about being gay, and like not necessarily feeling terribly masculine. So I withdrew a lot from people in general. So a lot of people didn't really know me well enough to be able to bully me, I feel like. I kind of flew under the radar for the most part.
I was kind of the same way, but in the exact opposite. I was so above the radar that no one really bullied me. Like, I don't know, I would do crazy stuff that, like, I feel like someone who was just average probably would get bullied for, which is it's horrible. But I knew so many people, and I had so many connections with people that I kind of went over the radar. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's exact opposites. But I don't think, from what I remember, I was never a bully. That being said, I also wasn't always as emotionally intelligent as I am today. And so I don't know, like, if someone came up to me and was like, hey, you bullied me at this time, obviously, like, I would apologize for it and everything. But as I know, I wasn't a bully.
I agree. I don't feel like I was ever a bully, but kind of like I don't necessarily consider myself a racist. I can still do racist things. I can still do things that like put pressure onto people that hurt people's feelings. So I'm sure that there have been times where I have unintentionally hurt someone, but I wouldn't say that I was ever a bully.
Yeah, like a consistent, like, I'm going to patronize this person all the time.
And it was never like an intentional attack either.
Yeah.
Never like I would seek someone out and be like, I want their lunch money, you know? Like,
yeah.
So.
I have definitely witnessed it as well as been bullied. I hung around a couple of friends that we all shared the anxiety, we all shared depression, we all shared a eating disorder. So we were kind of like the main course to everybody's bullying because we were just like had it all, right? And then we also had we all were experiencing like, or I guess the word is like experimenting our sexuality. So all three of us girls were also like kind of sexual to each other all the time. And then we also had a friend that was also adopted. She's from Guatemala. She had darker skin, and she was adopted into a lighter family. So we just had all of the things, right, that could target a bully or have a bully target us. It got to the point so bad my freshman year of high school, my friend that was adopted that came out as full-on lesbian ended up committing suicide because of the bully. And then it just was us two that just tried to continue going forward. And that she's also kind of the reason why I became such an advocate for people. Also the reason why I'm in the career field that I'm in now. So it was a huge turning point for me. However, as awful as it is, like, I related to this a lot because, like, we were also getting bullied because we were, you know, experimenting with our sexuality and wasn't hiding it by any means. So it was, I related a lot to it in the sense of being bullied for what it looks like on the outside. And then fortunately, I never experienced what Matthew went through.
Something. I have a friend that they also, like, I've definitely witnessed a lot of bullying, I would say, but not like, I wouldn't say directly bullying, if that makes sense, like kind of more microaggressions, you could say, and more like stuff that people could just like look over it. But I also have a friend, they're amazing, but all through high school they were experimenting. They went by Savannah for a little bit, they went by Oliver, and I remember like a big way I dealt with it was just by talking about it with my friends and just normalizing it because I mean, we live in Utah, like, and I grew up here, and so it's just something like I've always been more aware of other people, but my friends have been very just Utah mindset, you could say, about it. And so I think the biggest way I dealt with it, looking at the bullies, was talking about it and being like, hey, you know, this is normal. Like, they're wanting to express themselves in a different way, and that's okay. You know?
Oh, I love it. That kind of goes into another one is like, have you witnessed bullying? Have you put a stop to it? Did you do anything about it? So that kind of goes into that question. Have you, Rowan?
To my knowledge, I've never directly witnessed bullying. I've definitely had friends who were bullied, but it was never like during times I was around. his mom was pretty mentally, emotionally abusive, and then also he's trans, and before he had come out and transitioned, he had a really close friendship with this girl, and they would get teased and made fun of, people calling them lesbian. Again, I also grew up in Utah, so there's kind of that. I think it's lesser now, but still kind of around, like, anti-LGBT sentiment, because maybe I shouldn't say this, but oh well, the Mormon church isn't terribly kind to LGBT people.
Yeah, I would even argue, like, broader Christianity isn't very... And I also just think, like, it also depends on where you're living, because this, like, you go to Provo, Orem, and you're going to get hit hard with, like, that, where it's like, I wouldn't say it's as bad in Logan, but I would also argue Logan is really, like, advocacy forward about stuff. I'm not saying it's not bad in Logan. It still is bad everywhere in Utah, but...
Especially nowadays, because just, like, within the last, like, 5 years even, I feel like Logan has grown so much. I don't know when you two moved here, but I've lived here since I was 4, and I'm 29 now. So it's kind of crazy seeing how much things have changed recently. And part of that change has definitely been leaning more into, like, socially progressive values.
I am new to Utah in general. I moved here July of 2024. So I'm coming up on 2 years of living here. Before that, I was in Portland, Oregon for 5 years, and then Texas for 11 and a half, Montana for 5, and then Idaho for 3. So that gives you my age. I am 25, turning 26 this year. And so I've lived in so many other areas, as well as North Carolina, in the Charlotte area, which is a little bit more like understanding of people. But Texas is where I did a lot of my growing up. So that's how I first grade, second grade to junior year of high school, it was all in Texas. So it's been so interesting to hear, like, the Utah culture.
Yeah.
I didn't really know about this Utah culture until I came here.
It's a fun one.
It's definitely unique. Like, I feel like you guys have always just been in a bubble.
Yeah.
Like, Utah is like a bubble, and outside the bubble it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
For sure.
But I love the perspectives, because, like, we're from different areas, yet we also understand and have experienced the same things. If not to ourselves, but with our friends and everything. So that's really... I don't know if that's concerning, or I don't know what word to put to it. Yeah. That we can all experience it no matter where we're at. So.
Yeah, there's not a right word for it. But I know what you mean.
It's not. It's not comforting either.
Yeah. I don't know. But it's, like, kind of comforting, because it's like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
We're in
like,
this
we're
together,
all in this.
But it's also like, oh.
We're all in this. Isn't that from here in Utah?
Yes.
Was filmed
Salt
here?
Lake.
And
insane.
St. George, the second one.
Did not know that. You know, it's kind of crazy. Anyways, let's talk about Matthew Shepard. So we kind of touched on that. We've heard the case before, haven't heard the case before. But you guys have seen the verdict, right? The sentencing and everything that of his attackers. Do you think it was fair sentencing, or do you think that it should have been a worse sentence, a better sentence? Where's your heart at?
Just to make sure I got it right, they're both, like, life in prison, right?
With no chance of parole, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm
pretty sure.
am kind of against the death sentence, and so without that as, like, a further punishment, I don't know that you can get much worse than life in prison. And honestly, I yeah, I feel like that's justified. You killed someone. I don't know if it was in cold blood or what, but you knew that he was gay. You went with the intention of stealing from him. And, like, if you're going to try and claim that, like, oh, it was gay panic, you knew he was gay. And the way that you got him was by pretending you wanted to hook up with him. So, like, shut up.
Well, also even the fact of, like, 2 against 1. And I know you can't really say that, but it's even, like...
No, it's justified.
Like,
2 against 1.
Even if, like, he was coming at you, you guys lured him away into your car. You, like... And it was 2 of you against 1 of him. Like, whether he was attacking you or not, it, like, I don't know, unjustified.
Yeah.
Murder. So.
Leaving him unconscious, tied to a fence, out in, like, the rural parts of the outer city. Like, I don't know if it was technically premeditated, but, like, you don't just do that.
Yeah, that's not something you just do on a whim.
No.
And, like, how do you have the supplies to do something like that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Just going into that scenario, like, why did they have the pistol? Why did they have, like, the rope? Unless it was something that was, like, pre-thought out in their minds. But back to the topic, I also think they got a fair sentence. And I feel like I also am very anti-death penalty, except in, like, very extreme cases. Like, I mean, Ted Bundy and, you know.
Yeah.
Those, but, yeah. I think they got a fair trial. Especially with the no life of parole. I remember looking something up, and I think one of them tried to revisit the case.
Yep.
And, yeah.
It got cut out.
Yeah, it got cut off, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. I think the overall consensus for all 3 of us is that, you know, it was fair in, like, the sentencing. Just because, like, I don't know, like, taking a life for a life, like, as Shakespeare always says, like, an eye for an eye, and, you know. But, like, at the same point, like, they're not going to learn their lesson. And I feel like the death penalty would have been, like, more forgiving in a way. Because, like, they don't get to live with it.
Yeah, and I even think, just looking at the judicial system, a lot of people don't get those sentences, like the life without parole sentences, and they've gone through horrific things. And so I think even looking at it from a different perspective of, like, obviously no comparison at all, but some people don't, like, some people get a 25-year sentence, you know what I mean, for stuff like that. And it's like, I'm glad that these people, like, I feel like got what they deserved.
Yeah, where there's a lot of things in, like, the judicial system that, like, you feel like they should have had a little bit more of a heavy hand on their sentencing when they, like, only get 5 years for killing a child.
Yeah.
You're like, they're just getting 5 years for, you know, abusing, neglecting, all that type of stuff, killing their child, essentially. And they're only getting 5 years. Like, I just watched that. A documentary about it.
Yeah.
Yesterday. I was like, 5 years? That's the sentence? Are you kidding me? And then it's like, absolutely insane. But,
I will say, I'm not like a hardline abolitionist, but I do think that, like, our justice and police systems do need some level of reform. So, like, I don't love anyone getting, like, a life sentence, but also we don't have a system in place to deal with people who do this kind of stuff without those kinds of things. So at least within the system that we currently have, I think that it was justified. I would have preferred if there was a different solution, but we don't have that right now.
Yeah. What would be the different solution if you were in, like, a perfect world where you could make it?
I don't have something off the top of my head. I think some kind of system that leans more into reform rather than punishment is where my ideal would be. But again, like, that's not the system we have right now, and it's kind of where this isn't something that I have, like, deeply delved into. It's difficult for me to say, like, this is the system that I think should exist. I just know that I wish that there was something in place that we could at least try to reform them before, like, saying, okay, you're in jail for the rest of your life. Your parents and your friends and any other loved ones that you have are just going to have to deal with that.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at what you were just saying. It was just the wave, and I'm like, there goes the mics. Oh, but 100%. Like, I love what you were saying. Sorry to put you on the spot too, because like, it just seemed just like, ooh, like what would be like the ideal for you? Like, so sorry for that.
Oh no, it's all good.
I also wanted to, part of like the assignment that I had for this podcast was to give you guys some poems to read from the October mourning. And these were hand-selected by me to help you guys out, kind of give you like some of the story, have the emotions in it, because I feel like some of those were really like profound, emotion-driven poems. And I just wanted to like ask what you guys thought about them, which ones were your favorite. Not to boast my ego, but just to talk about the poems a little bit. I'm a poem sucker. I love them so much. I would do it when I was in my darkest moments in my depression. I actually wrote a couple poems and it helped me out. So I love that she turned her grieving as a mother into poems. I thought it was so, not stoic, but just like profound. That she did that. And it was able to like bleed into the pages of like her emotions. So anyways, if you guys want to talk about the poems a little bit, also which poems I did choose. I chose 4. She said choose 3. I was like, but there's one more that I have to put in there. So if you want to talk about the poems, mention the title of them, because there is a whole book of them for the audience that is watching, which one we're actually talking about.
Do we want to kind of like go through the list and talk about our thoughts, or do you have like specific ones you want to talk about?
I mean, I personally had a favorite.
Okay. I think the one that kind of like impacted me most would either be the first one you chose, Outnumbered, or the third one, Then and Now. Outnumbered kind of just talks about like October 6th, 1998, approximately 11:45 p.m. And then it like lists about how many people are in the world, about how many people are in the U.S., Wyoming, the town of Laramie, in the bar that he was at, the 3 people in the pickup truck that night, 2 triumphant, 1 terrified, and I'm getting a little bit emotional just right now. Just that last line, the 1 terrified. As someone who's gay, born a man, like, it's difficult for me not to put myself in Matthew Shepard's shoes when reading stuff about this, and that 1 terrified just hit me.
I also think as a man, like, there's a lot of stereotypes, like, just around you need to be the strong one, you need to be like, I don't know, the fighter, and just stuff like that, where it's like the 1 terrified would really hit, because no matter what, you would be in a vulnerable position in that way, and you would be the one scared, whether like you're a man or not, regardless. And I think that's something that's not talked about.
Yeah, Yeah, 100%. And thank you for also being vulnerable. I really appreciate it. This is a safe space. So if you do leave a couple tears, you're welcome to. I'm not judging at all. I might just join you in crying. But yeah, as you were talking about it, I got goosebumps immediately again. I chose that one. Like I said, like I handpicked a bunch of these because of just how important they were for me to like address to the people that are, you know, preparing to come on the podcast. So I'm glad that it resonated with you. I'm sorry it like hurt you a little bit, but
it's I don't want to say like it's a good kind of hurt, but it's not a traumatizing hurt, I guess, is a good way to say, because it's not a positive feeling, but it's also not like, oh, I'm gonna have a difficult time recovering.
It's a sympathetic feeling.
Yeah.
I think the one that hit hardest for me was Then and Now.
Oh.
And it just like, this one talks about how he was a son, now a symbol, then a brother, then now an absence, and so on and so forth. And I just think that is a really big theme in society, how it's not an issue until something like the most drastic of a thing happens. And that's what really hit for me in this one, is it really put into words what I think once, like, I don't know, you think back to every moment in advocacy, and there's probably one moment where something huge happened. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, the women's rights movement. Oh, the LGBTQ movement. Oh, the Black Lives Matter movement. You know what I mean? There's always something huge that happens right before those movements. And I think it really sucks. It's just, and that's the only way to put it. Why are these movements only happening? Like when people are like, oh, so this actually is a problem, and people aren't just talking about it to talk about it, you know?
Right.
And it's like all these people too would rather have their son back, would rather have the symbol, but they're using the fact that this happened to speak up about it, and I think that's beautiful, and I think that's really powerful for the family, and it's a brave thing to do. But it's still like, regardless of all that, and regardless of all the good that they've had, they still would have rather had their son. They still would have rather had their friend, had their brother. And I think it's just something that really hits. Like, at the end of the day, I would rather there be these movements and those people stay living.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I could not agree more. And kind of like at the beginning of the podcast, I had talked about my dear friend that was like, you know, the Three Musketeers, literally. We were not gone without the other person, right? And I finally have gotten to the point where I've finally stopped crying after many, many years. I mean, it was 7 years since I graduated high school. Now add 4 to that, you know? So it's been a while since she has passed away. And I still think about her all the time. And it's unfortunate that, like, I was going to be a fashion designer. That's what I was doing before all of this was fashion design. And as unfortunate as it is that she passed away, she also became my symbol of, like, things need to stop, right? And I need to make a difference in this world because I don't need somebody else to go through what I just had to go through, right? Yeah. Especially at such a young age, you know, 14, and you're losing your friends. I had friends that passed away in middle school as well due to suicide, and it also killed me. And I had friends all through high school. My junior year, somebody committed suicide that was a dear friend of mine. So it's just like all of these people who had lost their lives, I honestly took a personal vendetta against it, being like, why couldn't I have helped? You know, like they were my 3 a.m. call that I would get and saying like, help, I'm, you know, thinking of this. Why didn't they call me this time? You know? So it became, unfortunately, my symbol and my drive and my passion. I just wish it didn't happen. But in a sense, it kind of gave me more purpose.
Yeah. It's like you're glad it gave you meaning and you're using it. in a powerful way. But that doesn't mean you'd rather have this than your friend back.
Absolutely. I would rather have my friend, like my friend who is still alive in our Three Musketeers. She now has 2 kids, and we talk about how we wish that our friend was here to meet them and to have more aunties around and everything like that. So it's always, it hurts, but it helps drive a point of like, this needs to end because lives matter, and things in this world are taking that from us. So I love that you guys are here. We are coming to the end of our podcast. Is there any last thoughts, things that you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about? Any other poems or any final thoughts?
I also liked the same poem, Then and Now, but for a little bit, you guys kind of touched on the reason that I had, but like explicitly the reason that I really liked it feels weird to say. It just kind of like pushes that, like, even in these moments where like him dying kind of like was a push for the gay rights movement, even in doing that good, he still kind of had some of his humanity taken away from him.
Yeah.
Then I was a friend, now I am a memory. Then I was a person, now I'm a headline. Then I was a guy, now I'm a ghost. Then I was a student, now I am a lesson. Like, even this thing meant to, like, what's the word, like, honor him? That's not the word I'm looking for, but it'll work. Still, like, he died, and now he's all of these other things that aren't a person.
Yeah, true. Ugh, that's so profound.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah. I didn't even think about it that way, but it's so true.
It's kind of dehumanizing a little bit, like, for him. But, yeah.
I also think just where we're talking about gendered violence and LGBT violence, it's worth mentioning just like we're all white and at least cis passing, and a lot of violence brought down upon LGBT people also comes at intersections of race and gender ambiguity or being trans. I think one of the highest statistics for LGBT violence is Black women, Black trans women. So I think it's important to mention that.
No, for sure. And, you know, the whole time I've been thinking, like, I'm literally a straight woman. So, like, out of anyone here, I feel like the most, like, disconnected to the story in that sense. But I do think it's, like, important for, like we talked about in our social work classes, like, it's important for people like me who probably have more power than a Black trans woman to speak up about these things and talk about it, because I'm going to have more of a voice than she would.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to recognize that like, if you have, I would say, privilege in that way, that you should use that to propagate or like bring forward the issues more, because you are going to have more of a voice and people are going to listen to you more.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up too. It's something that is in our world right now, you know, like with everything, literally everything going on in like the news and everything. It's like being like the white male always is like looked at differently than a Black female or a Asian male or female, and you know, like we all have like these different perspectives, and even if you're like straight or bisexual or I feel like straight and bisexual are less looked down upon, because like I'm currently dating a man right now. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I don't get criticized as much
Mhm.
or anything like that. And but at the same time, then we're also like, well, because we're doing this and we're like dating men, like, do we
Mhm.
even have a say,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like, we should be joining together to like help those voices that need to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Use our privilege
Mhm.
to help out.
And not saying like people like with that aren't straight, obviously, like shouldn't have a voice. Like, please. But I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
saying, like, if you're in a position, like, say I'm a straight white man, I would still be on here talking about this, and I would still be using that
Yeah.
because it's just true. People are going to listen to my authority more.
Mhm.
Because that's what people gravitate to. But if you can use that and like bring forward change, that's when you're really going to see a difference.
No matter who you are, no matter what you identify as or
Mhm.
anything like that, being an advocate for somebody that is going through
Mm-hmm.
injustice, like, is always going to be a win, no
Mhm.
matter who you
So
are.
important.
It's so important. And that's why we're all doing social work, because we're advocates.
Do we sound like social workers?
I know. We are in like our junior year of social work, so we're like literally on the brink of actually, making a difference, and I'm so excited for that.
You just need to like cut out the part where we say our majors and
Yeah.
then at the end have
Yeah,
people
true.
guess
That's
what our
funny.
major is.
Yeah, we 100% are.
Engagement bait it.
I wonder what social work standard
What
this
are
whole
we?
podcast is for.
But this was for our my criminal justice class, and I want to say thank you so much. This volunteered. Okay, I said, hey, I don't have any friends. Can you guys come on here? And 2 people did show up. I'm so happy about it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I think this was a great discussion, and hopefully this made me friends.
Of course.
It's been fun, and I had more to say than I thought I did.
I know. I was like, can the podcast keep going? Thanks.
Well, thank you, and I will see you next time I'm doing a podcast.
#spread love.